Woburn Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I would like to remind everyone in the audience that this hearing is being videotaped and audio taped, so please keep that in mind if you decide to approach the rail to address the board. To begin our meeting, I would ask that everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda this evening is a continuation from last month. This is the petition of Timothy and Sarah Boss seeking a variance in connection with a fence in the front yard setback at property located at 113 Mishawam Road. I have reviewed and watched the entire hearing of last month's proceeding on this matter and have filed the required certification in order to participate in this matter this evening. Mr. Boss, you ready to proceed?
So, I guess.
I'm sorry, you know what, could you, just for the record, please, could you formally identify yourself and your
Oh,
address?
yes, Timothy Boss. So, can I?
Proceed.
Okay. So, yeah, this is just a continuation, as was stated. I know last time it was discussed that, you guys weren't okay with it where it was marked out. So, I went back and I looked, and so the latest copies of what you guys have, one of them shows the variance, which is like basically perfectly in line with the side of the house. That makes sense. So it goes straight back, and then the other plot plan shows without a variance.
I've labeled variance and no variance on those, on the plot plans in the top.
Yep.
Okay. And so, a lot of the board members, specifically, I know John Ryan was concerned with the easement, and so, and actually, Jay Duran was asking for a plot plan that showed elevations and where the pipe was. So, we've since, made sure that this plot plan includes that information for him and for you guys to see what's there. So, in addition to that, and I don't have an adapter cable to be able to show you guys, but I have drone footage of the property for any of you who haven't actually seen it. If you want to, I could let you guys see the video if you wanted to see the computer itself. But it basically just shows like the property, the line of sight from the driveway, behind the property. As well as the cul-de-sac road that abuts our property. So where we're at, and I sent the email to you, Gordon, with respect to the three options I can see. But where I'm at now is the variance one that I sent you. That's what we're looking at going for. The hardship, as was stated in the updated petition paper that I filled out, is technically it could be all three. I'd probably only argue two, but the topography, the shape with respect to the lot. So if you look at the one with no variance, you can obviously see the shape of the fence with respect to the property and with respect to the house. The soil condition, specifically this backyard, gets a lot more water when there's torrential downpour than other properties, and so closer away from the edges you get, or like away from a foundation, the more loose the soil is. So if we have it farther in, it could be an issue with respect to the fence leaning over. Also, I was thinking about topography. So it's not the same as the initial case with respect to topography, because it's not up on that slope, but it is in that there is a slope that's still 2 feet, and so if the fence were 3 feet, it'd be like a foot of height, given that the road is higher than the backyard. That's that. Are there questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So as I understand it, you are amending your request for a variance. You are now seeking the relief that's shown in the plot plan that's dated November 10th, 2023, that shows the proposed fence that's set back 15 point, I can't actually read the second number because there's something on top of it. It looks like 15.3 from your side setback along the adjoining property line.
Yeah, that is correct.
All right, and so that differs from your initial request. As I understand it, your initial request was to have the 6-foot fence installed along the property line itself.
Right.
And now you're amending that, and so you're seeking a variance to allow you to install the fence 15.3 feet from the Evangeline frontage, where your property intersects with the neighbor, I think it was 3 Evangeline, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a split rail currently along the edges.
Yep, understood.
Yep.
So my second question, as I understood it, you first were identifying the topography or the grade of the property as justifying the variance, and now you're contending that the soil conditions are also would support a variance?
Yeah, quite. So with respect to the Massachusetts general law, there's I think it would qualify for all three. The shape specifically, that one is with respect to the lot and the house. But yeah, the other two also would apply.
Right. Do you have any geologist report that validates your contention that there's loose soil and somehow the conditions of the soil on your property is not the same as the condition on other properties in the neighborhood?
So, not from a geologist, but the floodplain that the Woburn ArcGIS, so there's a Woburn ArcGIS map, and it shows our property, actually the entire lot, as being in the 100-year floodplain. I think it's one of 3 houses in the entirety of Woburn that is fully in a 100-year floodplain. But basically, to kind of explain that a little bit, when there's torrential downpour, the backyard kind of becomes like a tub. It depends on how much there is.
Yep.
So that's what I mean by
There's
that.
actually a property right up the street from you. Its front yard becomes a tub whenever there's heavy rain.
Gotcha.
But in any event. And this plan still contains the double gate
Yeah, there's,
on each side.
correct.
Okay. Do any other members of the board have any questions?
I have a question. How does the soil conditions impact your need for a variance?
Sure. So the closer you get to the center of the backyard, like at least that's my hypothetical theory, the looser the soil would be. So it's not that the fence wouldn't stay up; it may, depending on how they put it in. But the likelihood of it falling over or leaning over rather would be greater.
So in other words, your position is that the fence would be, you require variance for the stability of the fence. Is that what-
That's
because
one of
soil
the.
conditions?
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, I think that it meets all three. That one's probably the.
I'm just saying, I just want to focus on the soil conditions for the, so do I understand, am I understanding what your position is? That you require a variance because where you propose to put the fence is the soil is more stable or not as wet as, well, you originally proposed it on the sidewalk, so that wasn't,
Right, yes, so that's why since on the sidewalk, it's not,
So we're comparing, you have 15 to the requirement of the, what is it, 25? So you're saying if you complied with the 25-foot setback, that area where the 25 feet is very, very wet and would not, would not necessarily support, would affect the stability of the fence. So therefore, you want to move the fence to a more stable earth area. Is that
yeah,
essentially?
right.
What was it, or, so, and you're also claiming a shape, and what's the other one?
Yeah, well, there's topography, shape, and soil conditions. So the shape is with respect to the actual lot and the house, you know, having it angled to meet the, like, to not have variance is basically, it not only looks bad, but it functionally is bad with respect to the deck stairs and the window. And then with respect to the topography, if it were to be 3 feet in that location, again, the backyard slopes up to the sidewalk there, so it's not really that high. It would be like a foot.
I drove by there the other day, it seems to me that, where 15, although it wasn't marked, but I sort of estimated with my one good eye, where the 15 feet area would be, is sort of the same, you know, on the same level as the 25-foot area. Is that fair to say? You're saying the 15?
Yeah, it is. I mean, so regardless of whether it's 25 feet back or less than 25 feet back, it would still be the same. It would still be the same height. Yes. The plot plan actually shows the numbers for the elevations with respect to. So it's relative. It's not absolute. Like, it's not sea level. It's relative to the road. So the road is 100, and then it goes down from there.
Okay. All right, that's all I have about Madam Chairperson.
Sure. Anyone, any other members of the board have any questions?
Just a couple questions. Did you get a chance to review either or both plans with your neighbors?
So the one without a variance, no. The one with a variance, I did discuss it with the neighbor who's directly behind me. We didn't really reach an agreement for aesthetic reasons, but in one of the emails I sent Gordon, I basically outlined, you know, with colors. I don't know if you guys have that copy, but there's a section on the bottom left side where they already have a solid white vinyl, and it's probably like 30 feet from the corner, like towards, like east, like going from the bottom left corner right. And then, so what we were gonna do is, because theirs goes down from a 6 to a 4.5, you know, I was suggesting following that 4.5 along to the bottom right corner. And then since it slopes down, we would basically, it would go 4.5 to a 6, but it's only because it slopes down, so it would be even, like with that. That was one of my suggestions. But I think we disagree on aesthetics, so yeah,
All right, well, we may hear from your neighbor later, so
sure.
just reserve judgment till then. But more question for the board. If I'm saying this correctly, pre-existing non-conforming? If this lot, is it a pre-existing non-conformity if there are two frontages, one on Evangeline and one on Mishawam? Is that accurate?
I don't know that I necessarily understand the import of your question, because this is a
Well-
variance request as opposed to a special permit request.
Well, the reason I ask is because the setback on Evangeline Lane right now is, at its shortest point is 19.6,
Oh, okay, from the house, sure.
and then on the variance version of the proposal, it's down to, would you say 15.3?
Okay, so I think is what you're asking is whether the applicant could, as of right, extend the fence from the corner of the house.
Yes,
I believe the building department would take that position, but
okay.
can't say that I've had any communications with the building department on this.
All right, I mean, I still am interested in listening to what the neighbor has to say about the sight lines, but I do appreciate the fact that you came prepared with two different versions.
Yeah, just to be clear, the no variance was just to show the shape of how it would look, because I don't, like it's worse if the shape is that way, with respect to the no variance plan.
All right, let me ask, is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this, I guess, amended request for a variance for a fence at the property located at 113 Mishawam Road? Sure, if you could approach and identify yourself, please.
Good evening, Melissa Anastasides. I'm homeowner of 3 Evangeline Lane. I was present at the last meeting. As a next step, we talked about getting together as neighbors. We did do that. I will start off with the elephant in the room, the word aesthetic. That was more about tying into my existing fence, just to not feel like he would have to, go adjacent and have it run parallel and create a home for like bunnies or other animals. So that was the aesthetic word. My concern with the revised plan really and truly is the water piece of it. So I'm wondering, why one would want to put a structure on the water easement to that and potentially create different passageways for that water to now impact and infringe on my property. So that's first piece. Secondly, a lot of conversation last meeting was about the 3-foot drop from Evangeline into his backyard. I don't have the same grading situation from my driveway into his lot. So when I'm standing in my driveway, even at 15 feet in from the curb, I'm 5'2". I mean, I can't see across Mishawam. I can't see anything that's coming into my street. Tim is a lot taller, so I think sometimes that, as far as sight line is there. And I mentioned before, I have young children. We're a very active neighborhood, and there's a lot that comes down Evangeline. I did also take the time to drive around the city to take a look at, busy streets around town that have like situations with corner lots. Tried to find one that would have a corner with a driveway adjacent. I did not find one, but I don't see anything 6 foot anywhere. And lastly, I brought a visual just so you can kind of see what happens throughout the year of the water piece of it and the fact that I'm not quite sure how this fence could actually stand in the placement. I'm all for supporting my neighbor and keeping his pets safe and soon-to-be children, and I'm in favor of a 3-foot fence existing, same setup, just, an updated version. That's it. If you want to see the
Did
pictures,
you have
I
any
can-
images that you want to see?
Yeah, I can just. They're from 2 times throughout the year. One was, I think the front one was April, the other one was August, just so you can kind of see. No, I just made them. You're all good.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, how often does that large puddle accumulate? I know we got a lot of rain
I
this
know,
summer,
it's
but
kind of, I've been at my home for 11 years. We've definitely, it happens several times throughout the year. And I think like fall and spring is when it really can get pretty good. And it does recede back, but it's just now you're gonna put structure, fence, and I don't know what this water's gonna do, because the drain is over to the other side. It's gonna go where the water wants to go, and I would think that was gonna be heading my way.
Through the chair, I think that petitioner went, maybe we can clear it up, that he went to the Conservation Commission, and I think he would have to have a fence up above the ground a little bit, is that correct?
3 inches or so, which,
So I think if this version was approved, I think you would have to go back to the Conservation Commission with the new plan, I believe,
to go on top of it versus the perimeter of the property.
right? So then he'd have to comply with whatever the Conservation Commission
Okay.
would need, I believe, but.
I spoke to Teresa Murphy, and she said the Conservation Commission ordered, issued what is in their lingo an approval based on the location of the fence that was initially presented. And Ms. Murphy said if the fence is in any way moved, Mr. Boss would have to go back to the Conservation Commission for a further approval for a new location of the fence.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Excuse me, just one more question. I'm not sure I followed you. What was your concern about how the fence was going to impact the water?
So, kind of where it is now, so if you look in the pictures, like, that's really where I mean, it's in the entire property, but if the fence is there and all this is happening, I just don't know where is this water going? It's gonna go somewhere else, and I'm the probably least resistance, because I don't have that much of a dip, into my property, so.
I mean, I just don't follow I mean, the fence isn't going below the ground, right? It's just, I don't know how that's going to impact the flow of water.
I think it's gonna be corralled in, and then it's just gonna start going out. I don't know where. I mean, there's nowhere else for it to go. I don't think it's gonna stay put as is. I think it's gonna start to move, because the grate is over here. I just don't know. Again, I see it start to impact, like, it'll start coming through right now without anything, like, really low to the ground. But we know water, like, has its mind of its own, so I just,
But water's going to find the lowest level, and so if the drain becomes overflowed, and we have a 500-year storm,
yeah,
his backyard is going to fill up like a bathtub, and then it will overflow.
right,
And you're right next to it. So if it overflows, it's going to overflow
my way.
onto your property.
Right.
And I think that same thing now, whether there's a split rail fence
Right.
or a solid fence.
Right.
If the water level gets high enough,
Yep,
right, it's going to come through the 3-foot gap, the 3-inch gap.
right. I'm just thinking like a structure, at least like it kind of moves. I don't know, because it gets pretty high, like even the 3-foot drop from the Evangeline side, it'll get up there pretty good. So it does spread out. I just feel like you put something straight down the middle of it. I don't know.
Well, I think, in speaking with the DPW, that's why they found it essential that there be the gates on either side, because if they have to go in and service that drain, they
Right.
need access to it. So, I would think the water would go in the drain. If it became clogged, the city presumably would come out and clear it.
Right,
So hopefully, in
right. I
a
mean,
perfect world, that's
Mother
what
Nature.
happens.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who cares to be heard in connection with this request for a variance at 113 Mishawam Road? Does the board wish to proceed?
Could I ask the chair a question?
course.
Could you summarize, because I didn't understand, could you summarize that person's objection?
Sightlines, and she had raised an additional concern about whether a solid fence would somehow have a channeling or somehow impact the flow of water to her property.
She lives on the other side of Evangeline,
Correct.
so would it, and Evangeline's what, 3 feet higher than this fellow's backyard?
I don't know that we had anyone describe the height difference between the grades of Evangeline and 113 Mishawam. Everything that I've seen reflects a change in grade from the street level of Evangeline at 113 Mishawam Road. But from the pictures, it certainly appears like 3 Evangeline is up. It looks like the backyard of one, as the Superintendent Duran described it, it's basically a bowl. So the backyard is a bowl, and when there's a torrential rain, like we have experienced on more than one occasion this year, the storm drains get overflowed and there's flooding, as has happened in many locations, again, because we've had some incredibly powerful storms.
So it's the theory is it's gonna, if it acts as a bowl, the water is then gonna go up and go on to Evangeline.
That's my theory.
Boy, oh boy, I was over there. It seems, are there any grades on here? How,
It's only a few feet. So
Few
the
feet,
first
is it?
grade marker is 99 feet along the Evangeline frontage. And then it's down to 97 feet where the first of the storm drains are. So it looks like it's really only a change in elevation of 2 feet. And then if you look at the opposite corner, at the opposite corner, it's the elevation is 100. So it's a very shallow bowl, essentially. Of course.
Just to add to the water piece, so we moved in February of this year, we've had 4, I think, torrential downpours. The water does clear. I think it takes like an hour and a half. It depends on how much water there is. But like the worst we've had, it takes like an hour and a half to clear, so the drains are working. And I cut down some pines because like the needles were blocking the drain. But so it does clear within like an hour and a half, just to add that for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more question for Mr. Boss, if you don't mind. Could you clarify something for me? First of all, the tree on the corner down by
Yes.
Evangeline Lane, near your neighbor's property, this fence now, under both proposals, is going to be inside the tree.
Yeah, so we actually met with the Northeast Tree Company to actually cut that tree down because that tree's dying, and I don't really want to get sued. So we're gonna cut the one down in the corner so the line of sight should be perfect.
Okay, but regardless,
Sure.
until that happens, the fence is inside that. It's not outside like your original proposal.
Correct.
And the notes say it's gonna be 6 feet high all around. That include that section near the driveway where there was a sightline issue?
Yes, yes, yeah, all of it would be 6 feet. That's what I want. The compromise that I was willing to make with the neighbor was to go down to 4.5 on the section that directly abuts them and me. But for me, like what I would want is just to go 6 feet all the way around.
Okay, because if you look at that, your neighbor's driveway, it kind of bows down and then comes up right by that tree. So, I mean, it would make sense maybe to taper it down a bit, right at that, where it comes up to the tree, and then, as it goes up Evangeline, you could taper back up. The reason I say it sounds like your neighbor still has some concerns about sightline. I think that would address it with minimal effect on yours, since the height of the property at the end of the driveway is a little higher than it is as you go into the property. It comes up.
So, I mean, I see their driveway like every day. So their driveway is flat, and then like the grass that comes our way goes down probably like a foot, as she said. It's not as high as the incline as the side that abuts the road, but the driveway itself is flat. So that's why so what I would want is 6 feet all the way around. What I was willing to compromise was 4.5 feet from where her solid white vinyl ends all the way to the corner. And then since it slopes down like a foot, to, I think it's more like 1.5 feet in the area closest to the drain, to basically make it 4.5. So it would be, if she's standing in her driveway, she's looking at the fence, it would be like 4.5 feet. That was the compromise I was willing to make. Obviously, I want 6 feet all the way around. We did also, move it back 15 feet from the road, as you see on the plot plan, to give more line of sight. Just to add this too, that there is a sidewalk that's not like marked in that plan that's 7 feet. So it's really 22 feet of, space before you hit the road. But, so I guess it would be up to the board whether they think that I can get the 6 feet with the variance, or whether they think that I should compromise with the neighbor and do the 4.5 in their area, or
All right, well,
something
let me ask how the board wishes to proceed. Any other comments or discussion?
Last meeting, I had those concerns on both of the corners, on, where the parking is, and also the first panel, not only for the driveway, but as you drive into the street, the sight line, because it's kind of a blind area towards the other end of the street. So I would like to see them tapered at the two corners, like, the ones that, the one in the back of her driveway, and the first one that is going along the street.
So just to be clear, there is no corner like going to the back of the house. It's just flat. There's only one corner by the tree.
No, I think what Member Clancy is saying is that on your plot plan, on the
Yeah.
southeast corner of the proposed fence, he wants to see tapering at that corner, because as it's on this, hold on, make sure I'm looking at the right plan.
Yeah, it's a 90-degree angle, about approximately. That one of them is abutting your neighbor's driveway, and the other one is running alongside, the front of your yard. I would want to see a panel on each of those lower for sight.
You're talking about a singular corner though, right?
Yeah.
It's 2 panels on.
2 panels on that one corner.
When you say taper, how far? 4.5?
How high is your fence now?
6?
No, this.
No, you don't have a 6-foot
the
fence now. You have a post and
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
rail fence.
3-foot split rail.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go higher than 3, because when you're sitting in your car, you can still see over that fence. But if it got higher, it would be blocking.
So it's 8-foot panel, so you're talking tapering from a 6 to a 3 in the singular panel?
However,
Okay. Yeah, and keep in mind, the panel that's going from the corner towards my back of my house, that slopes down, so that wouldn't really be like a 6 or a 3 to a 6, that would be more like a,
If I may ask my colleague here, so it would be tapered down at, where it's roughly stated 95.92 feet? Those, right in between there, that'll be 3 feet there? Right in here? Oh, on that side, okay.
I'm going to suggest that if anyone's inclined to make a motion, that they mark up a plan.
yeah.
That's the southwest corner.
In this corner here.
Well, I make a motion, we approve the variance with the provision that the fence be tapered down in that corner. I'm not,
What we're talking about.
if you think
Yep.
3 feet, I'm not necessarily. The fact that it's moved back, it's not as much as an issue, so I would make a motion to approve the variance, and you can amend it as you can.
so just to say that, so if I ever get a black lab, and I know this doesn't relate to the hardship, but, would it be possible to make it 4? That way the black lab is less likely to jump the fence?
It's 4, is it 4 now?
No, it's the the split rail's 3. I'm more so just saying, like, rather than going to 6 to 4, or 6 to 3, if we can go 6 to 4.
I would go with 4. I would, as long as it was tapered on both of those corners, and the setback is at least 15 feet against that back line.
Okay.
Are you willing to amend your motion, Member Ryan?
Yes.
And
Member Clancy, are you going to ask Member Ryan to amend his
Yes,
motion?
I-
Yeah,
I
he did.
agree.
Yeah, he agreed.
So we just need a second.
I'll second.
well, just on the, if I may further amend it,
Sure.
and just say that any a condition that any or all recommendations from the Conservation Commission, should there be any, be adopted into our decision. That's possible.
I don't know that there's a mechanism to do that,
So
unless we continue this matter.
just on that, I did speak with Teresa, so I do have to go back to her for the section that changed. However, the approval that I got for the section, like directly behind, and then the section going up towards the front of my house, those shit, they already approved. It's just the variance section, that moved from being on Evangeline back.
But if she says, I want the bottom of the fence 1.5 feet off the ground,
Then I
then
would,
you'll comply with
have
whatever
to.
they,
so I-
whatever they, that's all I'm just saying here.
yeah, so
is that
I
you-
have to in order to put it there.
Excuse me, so if that's a condition, that's going to conflict with the motion that has been made and seconded. Because if the Conservation Commission directs the applicant to elevate the height of his fence by a foot, that means it's not 4 feet anymore, that means it's 5 feet. And that's not
Right.
what this board is currently discussing.
Chair, can I just pose? Of
course.
What, in fact, have you got from the Conservation Commission? What's the title of the is it an order of conditions? Typically, that's what they do. But
Yeah,
in some circumstances, they do issue, wetland development permits. I don't know, what did you get?
So I have an application of determinability, whatever it's called.
Determination of applicability.
Right, I have that, and I have it signed by them, and it's for the attached plot.
Wait a minute, you filed a request for the determination. They made a and they decided that the wetlands did apply?
Correct, with respect to where it was marked.
Yeah, so what, in fact, did they issued some sort of a written decision, and what was that called?
Uh,
Order of conditions or wetlands permit?
No, they just signed the determination for, of applicability, and they marked it as negative. That's all they did.
Did they,
It's not a
I believe it's called a -3 determination. Means they don't,
what, a negative?
yeah,
So
it means,
it didn't apply?
It's not wetlands,
Yeah.
because it's not a brook or a stream, it's not an so it's
Right, so,
not
so
wetlands.
the side that's, if you're looking at the plot plan and the house is the highest piece, the left side and the back, I already have their approval for. So I can put that up right now. It's only the section on Evangeline that, I can't, well, I could if it was 25 feet back, but. So I will have to go back to them, like that is something I have to do. I have to go back to them if it is marked here, given that it's different from what they approved. But I only have to go back to them for the approval for that section.
Madam Chairperson and Mr. Vincent, in other words, if they determine the non-applicability, what's he,
Yeah, why does he have to go back?
why does he have to?
That I can't
Why
answer.
do you have to go, well, he had to go
well,
to
because he's in
get that
proximity to wetlands, that's
determination,
why
but
he had
once
to
he
go.
got there,
Oh,
why
because
does
of
he
the
have
ones
to go
across
back?
because of the, what's across
So I
the
have to go
street.
back,
Okay,
I have to go back to them because they approved it up on the road where it's not like, where it's not really in that pool that you guys saw, but given that I'm moving it to be in that pool,
All right, so, in
I have to
other
go back
words,
to
where
them.
you originally proposed up near the road, it didn't, there was non-applicability. Now, because it's been changed,
Right.
you have to reapply because there is an issue of applicability.
There may be. They have to determine that, yep.
Very confusing for,
Oh, believe me, I know. It's been painful.
How does the board wish to proceed?
Just lastly on that, if there was a condition that said that the top of the fence be no higher than 6 feet above the ground level, would that be fine? So if he has to have it up off the ground, he'll have to make the fence vertically shorter. That makes sense. I mean, I just would make a motion that, that the variance be granted, that the fact that the top of the fence be no higher than 6 feet, and that he complies with any ruling that the Conservation Commission might adopt, and then they could,
And the corner panels be no higher than 4
Right.
feet.
And we're, just to be clear, we're talking about the section that requires the variance, right? For that?
I'm talking about the variance section.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
Yeah,
believe they're talking
whatever you
about-
can do as of right
Yeah.
doesn't matter to us.
Okay.
All right, no, a fence no higher than 6 feet in elevation above the grade. There was a second one before.
No higher than 4 feet
4
in the corner.
on the corners.
All right, so I need to ask a clarifying question. So when you're saying to taper it, my understanding of what you've been discussing is having a 6-foot panel and then 6-foot high panel. And then how long, what length of fence
One
needs to be
panel.
4 feet?
One panel from
One panel on each.
Okay.
6 to 4.
So
Yeah.
the panels at the corner, your motion is that those panels at the corner, there be an 8-foot section of a fence that is 4 feet high.
Wouldn't it be, so what does taper mean? Taper means like.
That's what I'm trying to determine, Mr. Boss.
You have one in your backyard now, a taper. I think it might be your neighbor's fence. There's a taper.
There's a transitional, so there's typically a transitional
typically, yeah.
panel and then a lower panel. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
If you want to come,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to come up and address the board again. That's-
Because it is a concern. So if you're in my driveway and you're looking out, like you said, you're just going to have this going on, you're still, I can't see what's going, I'm coming out of my home and I cannot see Mishawam Road.
generally, they would be, to go from the 6 to the 4, there'd be a transition panel and then the 4. But, that's how they usually build them.
I would prefer an 8-foot that is 4 feet. It's just such a small space. That's why it's like, why are we even doing
Right.
this? This is
The-
starting to look like a mousetrap. So we could just,
I don't understand what you just said.
just the rigidness of the setup of the fencing. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not even coming straight off the house. It's tucked in now. Now we're coming here, we're doing this height.
All right, so do you not want or?
I
so
do, I
think
do. I
these
want to see
members are
Mishawam.
trying
I want to be able to see.
Right, they're trying to accommodate your
Yeah,
concern.
I would prefer like a panel, like you said, at 4 feet versus the taper, because that's just going to do this.
Panel will be at 4, but
Right.
how you get there is often
They'll trans-
not a drop. There's
Right.
usually a transition panel.
To go up to the 6 feet for the rest of it, which I don't even know how many panels will even get across to the end of the house at that point, maybe the 2, 3, I don't even know. That would be my preference. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so the last panel, 4 feet.
Okay, so so it's going to be 8-foot section that's 6 feet, and then the two panels on the corner will be 8-feet sections that are 4 feet, shall not exceed 4 feet. And I'm assuming that the no one's expressly said it, but that we typically condition on the plans, and these plans show 12-foot wide double gates that are intended to allow the city access to the easement, right?
It's very important.
All right, Mr. Boss, I have a question for you. Obviously, the purpose of the 12-foot wide double gates is to allow the city access. My concern is if there's an emergent situation and those gates are locked, what happens then? How is the city supposed to get access
So,
to this easement?
you mean like locked with like a deadbolt, or like?
I don't
well,
know, I assume you're gonna lock these gates, because you're going to the trouble and expense of putting up a fence. And if you're away for a week, if you're on vacation and you're not home, and we have this massive rain event, and you're not there to unlock the gates, my suggestion to you is that the city is gonna crash through those gates.
Right, yeah, no,
And I want you to be clear, because what I would suggest to the board members is that there's an express acknowledgement, in fact, a condition in the easement, that if the city needs to access that easement on an emergent basis, and they can't get in, you're not gonna come looking to the city to say, oh, you broke my fence, or I want,
No, yeah.
because I'll be really frank with you. I am surprised that the superintendent was even willing to consider this to accommodate your request for a fence. And I want to be sure that the city does not come to regret the decision of the superintendent or this board to grant you the variance and expose itself to a claim of liability. So
yeah, I think that's,
I think it's important that that be addressed if the board votes in favor of the easement.
yeah, that's definitely something, I mean, if they want to tear down that gate because it's locked for some reason, then they can do that. I don't think it's not that expensive for me to put another one back. One thing though, just on that, I don't plan on putting like a lock on it. It would just be like on the inside, one of those.
Sure, no,
Those
I
things go up and
understand,
then-
but I just want to,
Sure. Yeah,
things
absolutely.
happen, and 20 years from now, you might not be in that house, and whoever owns it may be locking those gates, and
Fair.
shame on me if I don't
Sure.
raise the issue. So I would ask for an amendment to the pending motion, that that be a further condition.
So moved.
Madam Chair, just on the motion, are you gonna include in the motion a reference to this plan entitled variance?
Yes,
What was the motion regarding the access?
that in the event the city needs to obtain emergency access to that easement and and if the gate's locked, or if the city the city is going to access that easement, and if the gate or the fence is damaged in that effort, the property owners will assert no claim back against the city. Okay, so there's a motion pending that has been amended a number of times. I'm going to ask, for the sake of clarity, if there's a second to the motion as amended.
Second.
All in favor of the pending motion? Opposed? All right, so that passed 4-1, Mr. Boss. A decision needs to be prepared and filed with the city clerk's office. There's a 20-day appeal period, so no permit will issue unless and until that appeal period expires. And if you have any questions about the timing, you can reach out to Mr. Vincent.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the petition of Robert and Caitlin DeStefano, 17 Hiawatha Road, seeking a special permit to put an addition on a single-family home. Hi.
Hi,
Could
good
you
evening. My name is Caitlin DeStefano, and I'm the property owner at 17 Hiawatha Road in Woburn.
Thanks. So we have your materials. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the board in support of your?
No, hopefully the materials are pretty straightforward. What we're looking to do is add a garage with a primary suite addition on the driveway side of our home. The current pre-existing structure sits 19.5 feet back from the road, so we're just looking to move the addition slightly closer than the 25 feet so that we can line it up with the current structure. It won't be flush. We'll still be about 24 feet back for the garage, with the 12-foot overhang being about 23 feet back, to match the current house has a 1-foot overhang on the second floor.
All right, let me ask, do any members of the board have any questions for the petitioner?
I've got a quick question that appears vertically, it's gonna be, the roof is gonna be a little higher than your existing roof, is that correct?
Just slightly higher. So the current home, when it was built in the 50s, the upstairs has sort of like a rounding to the ceiling on both the front and the back of the home. So this would just allow us to kind of have a flat roof line within the bedroom on the second floor of the addition. So only slightly higher. It should look fairly similar from the front of the home. It will just be slightly higher from the side.
And you'll stay within our zoning regulations of 35 feet, I think it is?
I think it's 20, I had him add it, 20, I knew you would ask that.
I just don't see it marked here on the
Yeah, so
drawings.
I had
She sent over supplemental plans.
Yeah, so it's 26.6 would be the height of the
All right,
addition.
thank you.
Let me ask, is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this request for a special permit at 17 Hiawatha Road? How does the board wish to proceed?
Make a motion to approve the special permit?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, so that's been granted. A decision needs to be prepared and filed. There's a 20-day appeal period, so no permit will be issued unless and until that appeal period ends without an appeal.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Next item on our agenda is the petition of Derek Bloom, and I'm not going to try to pronounce this because I don't want to mess it up. Mr. Christopoulos? Yes. 21 Hiawatha Road. It's busy on that street. Seeking a special permit for another addition. If you guys could identify yourselves for the record, please.
Great. Good evening, Derek Bloom from Bloom Architecture. I'm Christopoulos, the homeowner.
Themius Christopoulos, homeowner.
Okay, so we have your package as well. Is there anything else that you want to share with the board in support of this?
Do you have any neighbor interactions or anything to share?
No.
No. Do you need us to walk through the plans in any way as our first appearance?
It's
or is it
completely
all-
up to you.
Okay. I can do a quick one. Essentially, we have an existing side yard setback nonconformity, and we wish to build an addition that continues that same nonconformity, which is 6 inches over the 12-foot requirement. So 11'6" is the current day setback, and we'd like the addition to be also 11'6". As you can see in the plans, it's an expansion of the kitchen to make us kind of more spacious living room and kitchen area in the backyard. The addition won't be visible from the street due to it being shorter than the main house that it's added onto. It's effectively an enlargement of the existing rear addition that you see in the drawings on A5 and A6. That's about all I can say.
So, and you're going to maintain a set of stairs with a full-size door entry to the basement?
Yes, we'd like to have a door, a full-height door at the basement level with steps up to grade, not covered, just open-air steps.
One of the things I didn't do a good job marking my plans. One of the things I wanted to alert you to is that it's become a practice of the board that when we see a good-sized addition with a separate entrance to the basement, and particularly with, windows in the basement, an abundance of caution, we have been imposing conditions to the effect that the property, his property's in a R1 zone, that the addition is not to be used or converted into a separate dwelling unit, or, otherwise, this single-family home is not to be used as a two-family home. So I wanted to alert you to that. Let me ask if any members of the board have any questions or comments?
Looks like it's gonna be a nice gym down there.
Got it right.
You've got the treadmill, the bike, the Smith machine, the free weight area. Guess you're
Member
not gonna be
Parrish is
joining
gonna
any
be there all the
gyms, huh?
time. Let me ask, is there any member of the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this request for a special permit? How does the board wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit.
Second.
All in favor of the pending motion?
Did you want to add your condition you talked about, or?
I think it makes sense, but.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Then I would, before we vote, move to amend the motion to include the standard conditions that we've, imposed.
So moved.
Yes.
Second.
All right. All in favor of the pending motion as amended? All right, so that passed. A decision needs to be prepared and filed with the city clerk's office. Once that happens, there's a 20-day appeal period, so no building permit will issue unless and until that appeal period expires without an appeal being filed, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Good luck. The next item on our agenda is the petition of Yefim and Jesselyn Alexiev, 25 Bacon Street, seeking a fence higher than 3 feet within the 20-foot setback, 25-foot front yard setback. Hi.
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Jesselyn Alexeyev, homeowner at 25 Bacon Street.
Yefim Alexeyev, homeowner.
Okay. So we have your application, and I admit I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the plot plan, the 2 plot plans.
Yeah, there's one
And-
that's showing the location of the existing fence and one that's showing the proposed new fence. They should be marked.
Okay, so is the one with the green highlighting the existing?
The plan itself should be marked as existing versus, see, did I not put?
I see existing 3, existing 3.
I think upper left of the plot plan says existing.
Oh, okay, wait, you know what, mine's stapled
Ah,
up at that corner, so.
I just saw
all
it
right.
too.
Okay, that answered
you.
my own question. Yes, the green is the existing fence.
I couldn't remember what colors I used.
No
there.
worries.
Yeah, we have a pretty sharp grade in the back of our yard, so we were looking to have a higher than the 6-foot fence in the back to have some privacy from the neighbors.
Yeah, I think Grove Street, we're located up a slope from Grove Street.
Yep.
Which effectively makes it so there isn't a fence really, if you're looking at our property from Grove Street. And getting an 8-foot fence
Yeah, 8-foot fence in the back.
would at least give us some kind of modicum of privacy.
Wait, did you say an 8-foot fence?
Yes.
Yeah, in the back of the house, yes. And then we were looking to have the 4-foot in the front of the house to, mostly there's 2 reasons motivating, 3, motivating replacing our fence. One is that the current fence is kind of falling down. But we also have a dog, and we want to enclose the fence, and the 3-foot fence in the front is kind of low enough that he would be thinking of jumping over it. So we're looking for the 4-foot fence in the front, and in the back, we do have that kind of sharp grade. The images or the pictures that I included with the package sort of show what it looks like from the front. And the existing 6-foot fence is pretty
Okay, so
low.
I'm looking at the pictures. picture 1 shows your house and the existing fence?
Yes.
And do you know, was a permit ever issued for that fence?
Not sure, it was there, it was existing when we moved in.
And picture 2, that shows the front of your house?
Yes. Yeah, we tried to show what the fence looks like from the front of the house, and then showing that we're,
And picture 3, is that taken from kind of like your side yard looking into what your backyard is?
trying to remember what picture 3
You
is.
don't have it in front of you?
I do not have it in front of me, sorry. Yeah, that's looking at the left of the house, or standing on the left of the house, looking into the backyard.
Okay, all right, so your property actually is up higher than the.
Right, that's what I
I
mean.
thought it was the reverse, so I'm glad.
Picture
that
3
these are helpful.
shows Grove Street, so if you're standing on Grove Street and
No, you're standing on Bacon Street looking at Grove.
Looking down
No,
to,
what I'm saying, if you look up at our house from Grove Street,
Yeah.
it's as if the fence wasn't there at all.
Oh, yeah.
all right, let me ask, do any of the other members have any questions for the applicant?
How high is that fence in the backyard presently?
6 feet. Most of it's 6 feet. There is a 3-foot section towards the left of the house for
Yeah, I can see,
some
yeah, I
reason.
can see the taper.
Yeah, no idea why.
Let me ask, is there anyone who cares to be heard in connection with this request for a variance to install? Is the proposed fence all 8 feet high, or it's
just in the back of the house.
Anyone in the audience care to be heard in connection with this request for a variance? How does the board wish to proceed?
I'd make a motion of variance be granted.
Before there's a second, I don't know if anyone, so our zoning ordinance limits fences to 6 feet, absent, there's certain like industrial areas that I think maybe that can have 8 feet. I was just trying to find the relevant section. I don't know if that's going to impact anyone's analysis or not, but.
But I think you're right. I think we only came across this perhaps once. And
Yeah,
was
and
that
wasn't
with was the Alzheimer's place on Cedar Street where they just wanted to enclose a little area for the
Yes.
patients kind of go outside? And I think that was the only time I've ever
I know,
seen
well, I
any
think the
foot.
only other time that's true, I hadn't remembered that. The only other time I recall was in like a industrial section.
Right.
Was like a storage yard or something like that, but I don't,
Closing a dumpster or something like that.
I don't remember.
There was the Superior Court, they wanted a 10-foot fence for that area where the judges would park and the prisoner
Yeah.
unloading a couple of years ago, but that was withdrawn.
Yeah, that was withdrawn. All right, and so the hardship, what is the I'm not sure, sorry. So the statute requires the board to make a finding that there's a hardship owing to the shape, soil conditions, or topography of your lot that essentially compels you to not comply with the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, and I would think, I think we're arguing topography. The slope in our backyard compared to the surrounding neighbors.
It's a pretty serious slope there. I was over there today, And in the back, it drops off, and it's a unique lot, because it sits like kitty corner, you know,
Yeah, it's a triangle lot on a dead-end road,
yeah.
yep, with a paper street. And it's, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what is the reason for the need for the 8-foot panels?
It's the slope in the back of the yard, that we have such a slope, our 6-foot fence doesn't provide much privacy from the neighbors. And the 8-foot fence would actually be more in line with our neighbor's 6-foot fence, height-wise.
So, I'm just a little confused by the drawing. Are there 2 panels that are 8 feet?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at too, to try to,
I'm trying to, is it the edge of the triangle? Yeah, I should have made myself a copy of this. Thank you, Gordon. Oh, yeah, it's the point of the triangle, that's the back of the yard. So it would be a section kind of extending from the point of the triangle.
This is
Let me
existing.
see. Yeah. So there's, 4 panels that we're asking for in the back of the house, kind of two extending either direction from like the point.
all right, and so so you're asking for 4-foot solid PVC panels for
Yep, and then,
a particular section along Bacon Street, but then it switches to a 5-foot black chain link fence along a portion of Bacon Street and around the corner and then along the back.
yeah.
And then it switches to a 6-foot high solid PVC.
It goes from 8 foot to 6 foot in the back of the house, and then where we have the lots of tree cover, we were gonna do the chain link. The street actually ends at the left side of our house on Bacon Street. It doesn't actually extend.
So the pavement ends with our house.
If I may ask a question
Go ahead.
through the chair. So you looking at 4 panels of 24-foot lengths of 8 feet on the, let's say, southerly side, and then as you make the corner there, then you're looking for 7 panels of 56-foot length of 8-foot fence, is that right? Am I reading that right? Then transition down to 6.
Yes.
I'm sorry, this, this is very confusing.
Okay.
So, as I'm looking at the
It's like-
southern boundary,
One
it's
panel.
like 4-foot PVC panels. Well, actually, no,
4 to
I
6.
want you to tell me,
Right,
because
right.
I don't know how, and are you, you're looking for a 6-foot high fence along the 100.1 feet on the southern side?
Yes.
Okay. And then a single transitional panel that goes, that goes up to 8 feet.
Yep.
Then you're gonna have the actual corner of the triangle, that's all 8 feet panels,
Yep.
transition back down to 6.
Yep.
It's gonna be 6 all the way until you approach the other corner, the northmost corner, where it switches to a 5-foot black chain link fence,
Yes.
and then it's gonna transition to 4-foot panels along Bacon Street.
Yeah, so what you would see from the front of the house are the 4-foot panels.
But what, excuse me, but what your neighbors are gonna see is potentially an 8-foot white vinyl fence in their face. I have enough trouble with these 6-foot fences that are coming in, and I'm just concerned about setting a precedent now going to 8 feet. I'd be more inclined to, I understand the topography issues here, and I'm not necessarily opposed to the variance, but I'm not in favor of the 8 feet.
So I think the way our land is that the contractor who proposed this was saying the reason it needs to be 8 feet in the corner is to keep the line straight, the fence line straight. Otherwise, it would dip in the corner. If you keep it 6 feet all the way around, I think the corner would be sitting below, so it wouldn't look even. The fence
Well,
line.
how is it now?
It dips.
It dips.
Yeah, if you look at the images, it kind of follows the topography. And,
Yeah, it follows the slope.
Yep. So it would be the Grove Street folks that you're worried about seeing too high of a fence?
How does the board wish to proceed? I'll give you my feedback. So, I agree that the property slopes. But, the fact that your dog may be able to jump the fence doesn't actually fulfill the statutory requirement. The hardship needs to relate to the soil conditions, shape, or topography. I would support some form of relief because you have a triangular shaped lot, which I think is unusual, but I too would not support the 8-foot section at the back. And because you're seeking a variance, you need 4 of the 5 voting members to vote in favor. So my sense is that right now you don't have enough votes to obtain the relief that you're seeking. And I don't know if you want us to go ahead and have a vote, or if you want to ask for a continuance to maybe rethink your request. But
Okay, so
I
is it
feel
just the
obligated.
8-foot section that is the problem? Is the 4-foot section problematic?
For me,
So
No,
if we went down to the 6-foot section, rather than requesting the 8, is,
Madam Chair, I'm going to vote for it as submitted, so, just so you know.
I would support the 4-foot fence in the front and up to 6 feet in the back, not the 8. Just because I'm not sure the codes allow, I don't want to set the precedent of going over 6. 6 is hard enough to swallow sometimes, so.
okay, so if
Is there-
that's what we needed to do, then what would we have to do to get?
Well, if the board if someone makes a motion,
I'll make a motion to approve the variance with the provision the fence not exceed 6 feet in height in any section.
Second.
okay, but if we're looking at the plan, if your motion just would allow a 6-foot fence around the entire perimeter, I don't think that's necessarily what we had just
The
discussed.
4-foot,
Replace the 8-foot sections with 6 feet.
Okay, so you're amending your motion in that manner? Is that seconded?
yes.
All in favor of the amended motion? Okay, so that passed. The decision needs to be prepared, filed with the city clerk's office, and then no permit would issue until the 20-day appeal period expires, okay?
And is there anything that we need to do, or no, we're good?
You're good.
Okay, thank you.
looking for the corner.
That was a 5-0 vote, correct?
Yes. Make a note of that.
Doesn't happen often.
The next item on our agenda is the variance petition of Stephanie Ray, 135 Coachman's Lane, North Andover, seeking a variance as to frontage at 41 Independence Drive.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Attorney Mark Salvati, 57 Arlington Road in Woburn for the petitioner. If I could, I'm going to pass out just two pieces of paper. One is the original subdivision, and one is just an overview photo of the area. Yes. Including you. So this is, I need to give a little historical background on this.
You wait till
Yep.
he
Everybody
sits
has
down.
everything?
So he needs to take notes, and he can't do that when he's standing over there. I mean, he's good, but he's not that good.
Well, he's pretty good.
Thank you.
So basically, we have a unbuildable lot currently based on the opinion of the building commissioner and the city solicitor because of the merger doctrine, as we may have visited before.
What was it
And
called again?
Merger.
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 Thank you.
Section 40, Chapter 48, Section 6, Paragraph 4 to be precise. So this lot was created, and you can look at the original subdivision plan from 1961. Back in 1961, when someone broke up all of Independence Drive and Revere Road over there into about 100 lots, all very similar in size, some with different shapes, but many with less than 100 feet of frontage. My clients' predecessors in interest and their whole family have owned this particular lot, which is Lot 28 on that subdivision plan, since 1965 or thereabouts. So what happened is the plan gets recorded in 1961. At the time, there is no requirement for frontage. It's based on the 1934 zoning code, I believe, which did not require any particular length of frontage, only distances from houses. And in 1963 or thereabouts, the zoning code was adopted, which provided that in a residential zone, this zone in particular, that the requirement become 100 feet. So Section 40C, Chapter 40C, Section 6 says that a lot is a buildable lot if it's a lot of record not held in common ownership with another lot at the time the zoning change was enacted. So what happened was that every other lot in this subdivision was built upon in the late 60s, early 70s. And you can see from your Google map above that every lot on Independence is built upon. And again, many of them had less than 100 feet. So basically, you could make the argument that if any lot was not built upon at that time and they had less than 100, that they merged as well. But no one's going to get into that discussion because you might get into several lots that merged and shouldn't have been built upon. So we're really here for an equitable relief. Again, my clients have owned this in their family forever. It's assessed as a single-family buildable lot, currently assessed at $337,000. And they pay taxes on that particular amount, or for whatever value a single-family lot has. Obviously, if this were not buildable, it would not have that value. While I agree that assessment does not have a lot of sway in the zoning area, again, I'm looking for more of an equitable relief. based on the other lots in the area having similar size. This one's actually 30,000 square feet. It tapers down to 80 feet on Independence, and that's basically the argument.
All right, are there any case law that provides for equitable relief from the merger doctrine?
No.
40A.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
so Counselor, who owns the property now? This Stephanie Ray?
Stephanie Ray, yes.
And does she own either of the lots on either side of it?
No, they're owned by others.
So I just query, what did it merge with? You say there's a merger? What did it merge with?
It merged at the time that the zoning changed. So if at the time of the zoning change, there's a snapshot, 1963, take a picture. If a lot, an undersized, a lot with less frontage abuts a lot with less or even more, even 100 feet, theoretically, it merges for zoning purposes.
If it's owned in common with the...
Common ownership.
Common ownership.
Okay, so
Was there-
whoever...
Yes, in 1965, they were all owned in common ownership, the whole subdivision. So they recorded the plan in 61, developer develops, and still owns them after the zoning change. Now, there's some provision in there about a zoning freeze, basically, for 5 years or so. So that's probably why the other houses were able to build, even though the zoning changed in the interim. This house, this lot just never got built upon, and it's been owned in the same family since.
So the same family was the family that developed the...
That, I don't know for sure. I think the developer may have been the owner of that lot, Tamburino.
Vincent?
Vincent Tamburino at the time, yes. Clearly unaware, obviously, that this had occurred.
I'm assuming you haven't done any extensive legal, this is hard for me to believe there's no case like this and reported somewhere.
Well, to be honest with you, Member Robinson, I believe that if they have come up, they've been allowed and not appealed, and therefore there's not much case law. But I have not done extensive research, but I know enough from prior research that I don't think there is a case on point.
Yeah. That freeze only has a limited lifetime.
Correct.
Thank you.
Excuse me, you said the Ray family owns it now. How long have they owned it?
Since the death of Mr. Tamburino, I believe, and I think are family. I could be wrong about that. The daughter of Vinnie
So all along?
inherited it, really.
It's been in that family for the
Correct.
whole time. She's, the Ray family's not a recent owner of it.
No, there's a recent deed, but it just went from one trust to another trust. It's truly been in the Tamburino, say, family since the 60s, 1960.
What about the topography? You know, as I, you know, you can't really see the lot when you drive by it because it just kind of, the front part goes up and then it's all, you know, trees and all that. But I'm just wondering how it is, you know, it's a substantial amount of property, 30,000 square feet. I'm just wondering about what does it do? Does it flatten out? Yeah.
State your name and your
From the street.
the broker.
I'm Tom Doherty, and I'm the broker for the lot. So it climbs up, but then it goes in and out, high and low,
Oh, okay, yeah.
going through the,
Because all I could see, you know, was like, right at the beginning, it goes up.
yeah, it rises,
Yeah.
and then it goes in, and it flattens out, and it goes, but it's up and down, it moves around.
Mr. Tim Marino's unfortunately long gone.
Well, it's not that long ago. 07, I think?
Yeah, what's that, 15 years?
Yeah,
quite
15
a little
years.
while.
He used to be around when I was on the city council myself.
You're dating yourself, remember?
He was a local hero.
Let me ask, is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this request for a variance at 41 Independence Drive?
Good evening. My name is Daniela Ojeda. I'm the owner of 43 Independence Drive with my husband Alejandro Ojeda. I'm not necessarily opposed to have a new family. We moved to this house in 2020, right after COVID, and we have a 4-year-old, and he's the only 4-year-old in the whole street, so we'll be happy to have, a family, and hopefully, with young kids too. But we have very serious concerns on why they haven't built there before, if they have owned it for so many years, because we know our backyard, we're right next to it. We have huge rocks that my son loves to climb and jump from them, but I believe there is necessary blasting or, very hard excavation work that must happen there. And, like these houses have been built since the 50s, the 60s. So we're very, very concerned for structural impacts for any type of blasting. So, I would like that to be addressed before something like this is approved. That also might have other impacts like the water table, once you go deeper. I don't know exactly. So the information that they're providing in this is very vague.
Well, we have no information. And frankly, they wouldn't even be in a spot to address your questions unless the board grants them a variance, because if there's no variance, there won't be a house put on there. So they wouldn't need to go to the trouble and expense of trying to figure out if there had to be blasting or things of that nature.
And also, like, the floor plan that they show is very small in church.
What floor plan are you referencing?
We received an email with a floor plan and a picture of with the proposal. Yes.
Oh, okay, just the,
just the
okay.
lot. It's a drawing with the lot and the floor plan, just. The footprint.
Okay, all right.
Sorry,
No worries.
that's what I meant. Another of our concerns is, I don't know, we are, new to Woburn, so I didn't know if there was like a noise, certain regulations for noise during construction that I tried to do some research, but I couldn't find
For the
information.
construction ordinance, so noise can start at 7 a.m., whether it's, leaf blowers or construction
Blasting.
vehicles.
Okay. We also, I try to figure it out, the setbacks for the house. Like, it says 19, and I kind of find two places in my research if it's 25 or 12.
So the front setback currently, from Independence Drive, it would need to be at least 25 feet. They've proposed moving it to 55 feet because they need to also comply with the side setback. So they have to move it presumably back further in the lot in order to satisfy the side
So
setback
what is this?
12.
Is it 12? Because I found another, in the Woburn.gov, I found one that says 25. So.
That's the frontage. That's from the front of the street.
It's also the side of the two-family.
Yeah, R2.
Pardon?
Is it a two-family? So I have from, it would be.
But this is an R1 zone, so this would be a proposed single family.
Single family. So it says, from side lot line 25 feet setback for educational residential facilities and group homes. So, and this is for page 6 from this government. But, I was just concerned overall that, I wasn't clear, so I can, probably dig deeper and find the answer. But mostly, I think it is how responsible will be that construction in that very rocky area for however method they're gonna use. And the limited information on the house, is this the house that they are gonna build? Because the whole Independence Drive has a vibe, and it has like the type of house, so I don't know exactly, from the information that we got so far, if this permission, like if this is allowed to be built, if they can do any type of house in that. I understand it's just residential, but
Sure.
there's so many types, so.
Yeah, so the applications for a variance don't need to have an actual plan for the proposed house. So this, they've given us a footprint of a proposed house, and I suppose in theory, the board could condition any approval on the proposed footprint so that, but again, that doesn't address, if it's gonna be 3 stories and, but in theory, right, without any limitation, it could be as big as the entire, area that's buildable.
Yeah, it's
So-
there a lot. So again, and that was another question, like, will they, once this is approved and permission, how about the natural screening, right? Like, when we bought the house, one of the things that we liked the most was that very character in the backyard with the rocks, and like, it was not like a flat, green grass that everybody needs to mow, or my husband needs to mow. So the natural screening was something very important to us. Knowing that that wasn't our lot, it was part of the, the picture that we were bought into. So I didn't know if that was part of when are they gonna make a clean lot and there's so many beautiful, huge, very old trees there, so-
That's really not something that we're in a position to answer any questions or kind of impose any conditions on.
So they could do, if this is approved, they could clear that lot and make it as a clear cut as they want it, if this is approved.
Well, unless, I don't know if there's any wetlands or anything else in there, so I don't know if they're subject to the jurisdiction of anybody anyone else in the city in terms
Like
of,
the ecological
yeah.
impact. Okay, so, we just have, several concerns, knowing we were told that was not
Understand.
buildable.
Yeah.
And suddenly it is, but, so, we just, or, applying to be.
Excuse me, you were told it wasn't buildable lot?
Because of the frontage, for the same reason they are applying.
When you acquired your property, somebody told you that adjoining area wasn't buildable.
Yes, because of the frontage.
I would make I can't give you advice, but whoever made that representation to you, perhaps it was a real estate broker. A person out there identify themselves as real estate brokers sometimes say things that they probably shouldn't, and whoever said that, they shouldn't have said
Well,
that.
no, what they say was exactly this. They say this frontage has been, is 80 and the required is 100. So technically, as of right now, they cannot just start construction. They have to go through things like this.
Okay.
So, and, that's what we knew at the
Here
time.
we are.
Yes. So, that's all I have.
Okay.
Excuse me, I had a question for
sure.
you. As you're facing this property, are you immediately next door on one side?
Yes, we are at 43 Independence, and this will be 41.
All right, so if you're
So-
facing that property from the street, are you,
I'm on the left,
you're on the left?
yes.
Okay. So what is your frontage?
120.
Read these numbers.
And this is us pulling a, a tape measure, and then looking at the plan.
Yeah, it says 76.
I mean, this plot plan is misleading. Okay, regarding your comment on the ledge, I noticed it on the property on the right, there's quite a bit of it outcropping there, so I assume that extends over. Okay, I'm just confused, maybe Attorney Salvati can enlighten me here. This sheet that you handed out,
The original subdivision plan?
yes,
Yep.
so lot number 29.
Yep.
What does the 75 represent?
You gotta add the
No,
twenty-nine
it's
point
got
five
a
six
little
to it.
marker in the middle.
See that little thing? There's a curve in the road, so they has two dimensions there.
Okay,
So she has 75 plus 30. She really has 105 or so.
okay, got it. Thank you. That's it, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this request for a variance?
Good evening, Mark Lynch, 39 Independence Drive. I am the property on the right. And as Daniela was stating, my left side of my home, where my driveway ends towards my house, up back is solid ledge. And when you get to the top of it, it dips down. And I just have major concerns about the structural integrity of my home if and when this is going to be built.
Excuse me, you're concerned about blasting in the course of construction?
Well, first off, I'm not for it because it's a non-conforming site with not enough frontage. But again, I have ledge that goes like underneath my driveway and probably underneath my foundation and my slab.
You're on a slab foundation?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a finished basement, but it's not, it's like maybe 3 feet below the ground. It's, you know, it's not like a 5-foot, you're in the basement, you know, the windows are up here. Mine, I think the deepest point of my basement is 3 feet below the ground. So I'm just real, and I still have remnants of ledge on that hill on the left side of my home.
Sure.
Rocks just piled up.
So I'm looking at the assessor's map that's got elevation markings on it. So in the middle of the property that you abut, is there like essentially a little mountaintop of ledge at the top?
Yeah, so if you look at the back left corner of my roof, right, just to the left of that, if you stand on that hill, you're pretty much, you know, your legs are right at the roof level. And then
So
you
now
walk-
we know why this property wasn't built in the last 60-some years. Okay.
I mean, it's, you know, the left side of my backyard from my driveway back probably 40 feet, it's all ledge.
Your point is, Madam Chair, it would be an expensive lot to develop.
Yeah.
Not wrong. But that's,
I've never had water in my home from these 100-year storms. I moved in '02, November of '02. And with all the storms that we had, you know, that year, those years after, I've never had water. And I'm just really concerned about this. And my house is all plaster walls, plaster ceilings. And, you know, I'm in construction, so I know what blasting can do.
well, are you opposed to are you saying you're opposed to the grant of the variance?
Well, it's a non-conforming lot with not enough frontage, so yeah.
Well, why, so you're opposed because it's non-conforming lot? But yet there's the lawyer indicated there's a number of lots in this subdivision that are non-conforming to today's regulation.
Right. I mean, this land's been there since the 60s, and no one's built, it's
Actually,
built on it.
as you look at the development, as you look at the plan, they all have over 100 feet of frontage. All on that side.
And I too, when I bought my house, the real estate agent who I bought it from said, oh, you know, it's a non-conforming lot, you can't build there. And I'm like, you know, never say never. So, you know, I was always aware of that.
Yeah, you, looks like you have 90, this is just too small, I can't read it.
74, is that
Other, yeah, but there's also another notation.
24 and 16,
Yeah,
Can't read
but
it.
so lots 21 through 26 all have at least 100 feet of frontage. Same with 44 through 49. And then on the other side, Anyway, for whatever that's worth. Is there anything else that you wanted to share
No,
with the board?
that's it.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience care to be heard in connection with this request for variance?
If I could address a couple of issues that was raised. First off, the reason for not building on it is that they just never found it timing-wise to do so. I mean, you know Mr. Tamburino, he was doing many other things, was originally gonna live there and decided to live on Canterbury Road where he developed that area. So I think it was just a family decision not to build on it and not anything to do with particularly the lot itself. As to construction, I think this variance petition shouldn't be too concerned, not that you're not concerned with neighbors' concerns, we always are, but the variance petition request is just that, and that's why you don't see a full set of plans, and we're just trying to get to buildability. Obviously, if we build, we gotta meet all the requirements of the
Sure.
building department, and if there's blasting, there'd be a...
Or you could just sell the lot and put it back on the market, right? It was already on the market, and it's been taken off the market. So the petitioner may not actually develop it, they may just sell the property if the variance is granted.
That's correct.
Okay.
But I'm trying to allay their fears a little bit that would have to comply with any requirements for blasting by doing an audit of the neighborhood, filming their houses. And if, she's concerned about, again, she even mentioned that there's old growth trees there. You don't get a lot of old growth trees with a lot of ledge, so we don't know.
Oh, I know, and
What's under there.
I'm not casting aspersions. I just want to say, the fact is that there's no guarantee that the petitioner would actually develop the property. It's not uncommon, right, if you got the zoning relief, that the petitioner could then just sell the property and somebody else might develop. That's the only
Certainly.
Madam Chair, I assume that the property's going to be
That's-
sold as a real estate
That's
property.
the intent here. That's the reason it's coming forward, is that the family would like
What's
to.
the, I heard you say initially that I thought you said there were several lots that didn't have the 100 feet of frontage that we require today. Now, how many, what are there, 2 or 3? If that's the case, what's your argument for a hardship then?
There are, in this portion of the,
On that
Oh, you asked-
subdivision plan, how many lots don't have 100 feet of frontage?
that's what I'm trying to answer you. On Independence Drive,
No, on that subdivision plan.
Yeah.
that is the
Which
subdivision
Which is
plan.
Independence Drive.
Independence Drive is the subdivision plan, and there are, I'd say 10 out of 35 or so, one of which is the neighbor that just spoke, that have less than 100 feet.
There's 35 lots on that subdivision plan?
Yep. I believe so.
You believe? Counsel,
Oh, I can certainly
it seems
count
like we
them.
get different answers, you provide different answers at different stages of the proceeding, right?
36.
There's 36 lots? And 10 of them are
10, at least, yeah,
undersized as far as frontage goes?
yes.
I come up with 7, so. Again, I don't know that it necessarily matters for the purpose of the variance analysis under the statute.
Agreed.
How does the board wish to proceed?
I asked a question about what's the argument as to hardship?
Well, the hardship is basically the shape of the lot, that it doesn't have 100 feet. I mean, that's the only argument I can make, Mr. Chair.
Is
Mr.
there
Member.
any, I don't mean to demean that argument, but are there any cases where the shape of the lot in this type of shape variation,
There's no case law on point on that, no. I mean, if it was the will of the board that they see a full-blown set of plans for the house, I would certainly be glad to provide that, but I don't know if that's really the discussion. Yeah.
I can only speak for myself. I don't want to say, I don't think the board has any right to see any plans, but I myself, whether they do or they don't, I don't want to see them.
Yeah, okay.
Madam Chair, if I might, I am bothered by these lots that don't comply.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it doesn't have enough frontage is not a variance. It doesn't, it's just not.
Madam Chair, may I, do you have any sense that if you did more extensive legal research, you might find something that would,
I have a sense that
there's a body of law, I take it, on shape of lot, right?
Sure. I can say that I have a sense that I would not, but I would ask for that time if that were, if two members of this board are asking for that and won't vote for it as is, then I will certainly ask for continuance and research that.
I think the reality is any case law that's out there is going to say the opposite.
Well, it's not going to help me, Madam Chair.
The frontage doesn't.
Again, that's why, I mean, I opened this with a statement about equity and the fact that, you know, it's as big or bigger than most of the lots, and it's similar in frontage, and a house can fit, and it's been owned with the intent to build upon for 66 years, and that's why we're here. But
Madam Chair, I'm sympathetic with your so-called equity argument, except that there were two people indicated they're opposed to it on sort of on legal grounds, but they present equitable with a small e arguments. I mean, they were given information that the area was non-developable.
Through the chair, my issue is more the topography and the condition of the property. I think that, you know, I think the 80-foot frontage is an issue, obviously, but, you know, I'd be more interested in what would need to be done to prepare the site, because, I mean, 30,000 square feet is a significant amount of property, but if it required all kinds of blasting and all of that, you know, the topography is a big concern. I just think that there's, how much of that 30,000 square feet is buildable would be my question, and what would you have to do to prepare the site?
well, I think my client would probably look into that if she was assured that she would get the variance, I guess. It's a chicken or the egg here. I'd be glad to provide, you know, they'd have to go up and do test holes, they'd have to go up and do drillings and find out how thick it is, if it's there, where the house would sit. We'd be glad to do that if we got a sense from the board that they'd be willing to vote for the variance. If they were not, I think that would be the end of
All
the
right,
day.
so then I have another question then. So when you prepared this plan with the proposed house with the, you know, location and the footprint, is what you're saying that there was really no intent that this house was, of this size, was going to be located here?
Well,
Because all of that on-site evaluation hasn't been done?
we have a general idea of where the house will sit and the size of the house. I mean, we can certainly limit it to 4,500 square feet or whatever needs to be done if that's the will of the board. But, you know, again, we have to walk before we can run here. If we don't have a lot, then why go to all that work. If it's the will of the board that they would grant the variance on certain items being provided, would be glad to provide them.
How does the board wish to proceed?
Oh, I'd like maybe I get a legal opinion from the city. You apparently don't necessarily wish to provide a legal opinion. That's your prerogative.
Well, no,
Otherwise, I would assume you would have been better prepared to argue the case tonight.
Well, my understanding is
I
that
don't
this,
take, I don't mean to cast
Besmirch,
aspersions, as
besmirch.
was used earlier, but,
as I understand it, the city solicitor and the building commissioner have both told you this is not a buildable lot because it doesn't have enough frontage. And if you want it to be a buildable lot, you need to get a variance. That's why you're here.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, so I
think
our city solicitor apparently has already expressed her
Her
opinion.
opinion.
did she study the issue of variance?
Pardon?
Did she study the issue of variance?
No, I must say it was a cursory review of my request that she gave her opinion on. So if she had something more in-depth from myself with an argument, perhaps I could get a better legal opinion. And I would be glad to pursue that from both sides.
Oh, I mean, she shouldn't have to respond to your request for a legal opinion.
Well, she did, I mean, in a sense. But if this board would, I think this board could ask her for a more in-depth opinion.
I don't
and I would
think the
provide
city
one.
solicitor needs to do your research for you.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I myself would like to see a solicitor.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Has some due diligence been done on the lot as far as where the ledge is, how far down?
No.
On the buildable area, so that if the house had to reposition to limit the amount of blasting?
No, it has not been done. And I could certainly ask the client to do that if that's the request of the board, if it's helpful in their decision-making. It was our opinion that we had to get the approval first and then go that route. But if that helps the board in any way, I'll certainly ask if that can be provided.
Query, Madam Chair, who's the client anyway?
Stephanie Ray, the owner, she's not here.
Who's the owner?
Stephanie Ray, she's the owner. Ray, R-A-E.
Where's she from? East Oshkosh somewhere or what?
She's the daughter of Vinnie Tamburino, but she lives in Andover.
It's probably hard to get a variance like
North
this in
Andover.
Andover, knowing Andover.
That's why I don't go there.
Anyway, so how does the board wish to proceed?
Well, should we just continue it until our next hearing? And if there's any additional research,
That would be my request.
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
can we,
second,
well, I'd make a motion that we request the city solicitor to provide a legal opinion on the issue of, what do we say, the shape of the lot, whether there's any law or any cases where this type of shape of a lot, there's got to be hundreds of shape of a lot cases, aren't there? But you're saying there's none where there's this type of shape.
I can't say that. I'd have to research that myself.
Well, you do that, but I'd ask the city solicitor, could you frame that, Mr. Clerk or Madam Chair, frame that?
So you want the city solicitor to do research to determine if there's any case law that would find that the shape of a lot that's shaped like this
Akin
would
to this.
justify,
Oh.
where, in particular, where the frontage doesn't meet the current minimum?
All right.
Traditionally, it's always been a pork chop style lot, correct?
Right,
But,
yeah.
I mean, somebody could say, hey, the shape of that is odd. And I know this board has done it before, but
All right, so you're requesting a continuance.
I am.
And Member Robertson is requesting legal opinion from or some legal guidance from the city solicitor, as stated. Okay. There had been a motion on the continuance. Had there been a second?
Yes.
All right. All in favor of the pending, do you have hold on, do you have the form for?
I do. Can certainly provide it with one.
What about the issue that Member Clancy's raised about the ledge and the developability of the lot? I mean, did the board want any site reports?
Well, my concern with that would be if there's no support for the frontage issue, I wouldn't want the people to go through the expense of
Right, yeah,
boring
I
all
agree.
kinds of holes and, site preparation if there was no chance of it being approved. I think this would be the first leg of,
I would agree.
yeah.
All right, and so we would, all in favor of the pending motion?
That was on the continuance.
On the continuance,
Do we have a date?
that we'll do next.
No, don't do the 20th. City Hall's closed the next day.
You guys are way ahead of me.
I think we're at 4:30 the next day.
it's the 20th for sure.
All right, does that work for everybody?
December 20th? Okay.
All right, so this matter will be continued until our hearing on December 20th, and we will ask for the city solicitor to hopefully get her guidance to us before that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Can I consult with you at some point? via
absolutely.
Email about what I'm actually going to?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
we can do that. Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from October 18th. I reviewed them just for kind of, typos and things, not substantively. I did not have any edits. I don't know if anyone else has any.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second?
All in favor? All right, that passed. The next item on our agenda is the discussion of our application, which was continued from last month, which I missed, and I actually was gonna work on that this afternoon, and I can't find the materials anymore.
Make a motion to continue.
So I apologize, but what I suggest we do is, well, I guess there's no harm in leaving it on the agenda, but it's really just a matter of me sitting down and working with the form and then sharing it with you all. So I apologize, but I don't know.
The Form A that I sent from the city council,
I
did
had,
that,
yeah,
did that help?
I started, well, I think it's essentially the
Did?
same.
I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner.
No, that's all right, but I think it's essentially gonna be the same thing of like just working off the checklist that the land court judge did. It's gonna be a lot more simple.
Yeah. Actually, Ellen would like, the city solicitor would like to go on record as she was the one who drafted that checklist.
Yeah, okay, good
The
to know.
judge just checked it.
Yeah, But, so, I hate to ask you, but can you send me that, that stuff again? Okay. Anything else that is before the board? I don't believe there's anything else. So then I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.